Craft has successfully docked with the orbiting MIR space station. It's brought urgently needed supplies and spare parts to repair the damage caused in a collision with another cargo ship 12 days ago. But plans to begin repairs have been postponed.
The 11-year-old space station has been hit by a catalogue of technical faults in recent months, but none more serious than the recent collision with a cargo ship, which damaged its solar panels and left it seriously low on power. That's why today's docking with a ship bringing new supplies was so crucial, and the procedure was carried out automatically. It was when the astronauts tried it manually last time that the cargo ship crashed. No hitches this time, though. Alignment with the space station was perfect, and for a change, Russian Mission Control had something to celebrate.
It's a very professional docking. It has been very successful, and of course everything has gone very slowly as it is needed for this critical docking. But I think it's very good that everything was successful.
Among the supplies are electrical cables to replace those broken after the docking accident. There's a new hatch for the damaged science module, and for the astronauts, food, water and oxygen. And Britain's Michael Foale gets toothpaste and shampoo. He lost all his personal possessions in the crash. But for now, the astronauts have been told to rest. Tomorrow, preparations get underway for a highly dangerous spacewalk inside the damaged module. The astronauts have heard some clanking noises and seen some mysterious flakes of unknown origin. The mission, in about 10 days' time, will be the first of its kind, and the crew will have to be prepared for anything. Christy McGurty, BBC News.
The government says tackling poverty will be made a priority in plans to improve the nation's health. Tessa Jowell, the Public Health Minister, said she'd reduce inequalities in health which resulted in the poor being sicker and dying sooner. There'll also be a wide-ranging review to examine ways to improve conditions for poorer families within strict spending limits.
Health inequalities begin in the cradle, to the extent that a baby born today to affluent parents can expect to live 5 years longer than one from a poor family. In some of the poorest inner-city areas, male life expectancy is now below retirement age. It was a Conservative government that set targets for combating disease through the health of the nation, but Labour ministers say these fail to address the ghettos of ill health in many parts of Britain.
We are committed.
The new government created the post of Minister for Public Health, and in her first major speech, Tessa Jowell said the link between poverty and health must be fully acknowledged. Referring to the founder of the welfare state, she said Beveridge's 5 giant evils still needed to be fought.
Want will be tackled through the minimum wage, idleness through welfare to work, squalor through improved housing, through the use of capital receipts, and through policies to improve the environment, ignorance through education, 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 and disease by rescuing and rebuilding our National Health Service.
The leader of Britain's doctors has lectured on public health for nearly 40 years and said Labour's policy would take a generation to work through.
I'm excited because I see a strategy for health, not just a strategy for dealing with disease. I see a strategy based upon positive things that can be done, constructive things in schools, in workplaces, in people's own homes and communities, involving everybody.
The danger for the government is that it will raise expectations among the poor, but fail to give its policies sufficient cash to make them work. But ministers claim much can be done cheaply by banning tobacco advertising and sponsorship and through more health education. Critics may say the nanny state is back. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
Members of one of the youth...
I imagine at some stage between her and the nationalist SDLP here, but even the SDLP, who would be regarded as the moderate party, if you like, on that side of the fence, and their Labour sister party, they were incensed by yesterday's decision, so it's going to take a considerable amount of time to do that.
Now, Mo Mowlam called for common sense to prevail. What are the prospects for marches over the next few days, leading up, of course, to the big one on Saturday?
Well, not very good. There's a controversial parade tonight, and as if you saw the report earlier, people who were watching earlier, there's a very controversial march on the Lower Ormer Road in Belfast on Saturday. Now, the residents there are adamant they do not want the march to go through. The Orangemen are adamant that they do want to go through. I think one of the problems here is that people, in a way, don't care what happened elsewhere. They want it to happen the way they want in their own area. But obviously the Catholic Nordic residents are much, much angrier after the Drumcree decision at the weekend.
Dennis, thanks very much.
Space scientists at NASA giant rock nicknamed Barnacle Bill. The tiny six-wheeled vehicle may now be allowed to explore the planet's surface for a month instead of the 7 days originally planned.
This is the rock they wanted to study, Barnacle Bill. Today, the small rover vehicle has its sensor up against it. Mission Control had moved the rover just 14 inches from the foot of the landing craft so it could start its tests. At this evening's news conference, scientists have been in raptures over their success.
The site is everything we hoped it could be. We're finding more and more surprises as we look in detail at the rocks through the terrain, and we're seeing some wonderful, wonderful surprises that we'll try to give you an idea of here today.
And they've been explaining what the rover will do next.
The rover will now pull away from this rock and turn in this direction to do a rather extensive series of soil mechanics experiments in this sandy flat here, or the soil area. It will image them extensively from the rover.
The experts have also released new colour pictures of the surface. The first results of the scientific analysis will be released tomorrow. James Wilkinson, BBC News.
And the next national news here on Earth